Dun 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 dun. Greetings world, this is Vashta. I wanted to talk a bit about a portrait I recently had a pleasure of creating. The depiction is of an ET hybrid named Bella. Bella is channeled by Gita Rose. If you never heard of her, you will have an opportunity to hear a bit of her channeling in this video. Bella wanted to record a message for me in regards to the portrait I was about to create of her, and this message was literally my first experience of her. I will talk a bit more about my impressions once you have heard the message, but if you love Bashar and Willa Hillichristing channelings, and if you're excited about hybrid races and hybrid children, you will absolutely love this. So here it goes.
Test, test, test. This is August 17th, 2018. A message from Bella for Vashta. I am excited to be connecting to you, Vashta, in this way, in this time. I will first start off by saying that you and I, in many different parallels in that way, have already met. My energy may be familiar to you in a variety of different ways. However, in this time, in this now, I am choosing to represent myself very specifically for a variety of different reasons. I am what you would understand as coming from also a trickster, shapeshifter archetype. My oversoul is connected to the being you may understand as Saibo from the Sasani civilization. That is a character that represents ultimate transformation. The number 13 also connected to what you would define as the archetype of the trickster, of the shapeshifter. I enjoy putting on many different costumes in that way. Many different ways of representing this type of energy. For this transmission, for this message in particular, for this image rendering, for this co-creation on both of our parts, I am choosing to describe myself to you a bit more of what your imagination may translate as coming from a bit more of a fairy tale genre, you might say, than a sci-fi galactic saga. I am in this way doing this very specifically in this time, in this way. So my physical appearance in this way, in this now, in the way that I am seeing is most relevant to describe to you is as follows. Also, please understand, please know, please feel the resonance within you that we are contacting you. It is my highest excitement in that way to you, for you to be the channel in this way for your signature vibration, your translation, your imagination will come through in exactly the perfect way. So please keep the lines open for interpretation, for us to dance together, for us to create together. That being said, I am of a smaller stature of around 5 feet tall. I am thin, but do have what you would understand as muscle definition. My skin is quite light in color, pale, and can in some times, in some lights, in some ways have a bit of an iridescence, a bit of a lightish blue. But more so, my skin in that way is more akin to skin on your planet of a more pale color. My eyes are bright blue, bright green, like a turquoise or the ocean of varying colors. My hair is a very white blonde, as well as a dark brown to almost black. They are like natural streaks in this way. The hair is almost to what you would say longer than shoulder length. I enjoy playing with different hairstyles from what you would define as Earth history. More Edwardian silhouettes, you might say, big curls that were popular up until your late 1940s, early 1950s. My bone structure in that way, interestingly enough, is actually very similar to your own. We will let that resonate for you to feel into the mirrors that we share, into the energetic resonances that we share. The ears are rounded and more so what you would define as looking very human. I do in that way also have a very strong jawline, you might say, and more fuller lips. I also have certain characteristics within my facial features, within the bone structure, that yes, while I said you and I do have a certain amount of similarities, I also in that way have some characteristics that look what you would define as a bit Asian. We understand that this may be a bit confusing for you, for it is bringing in two very different nationalities in that way, but I feel this is part of the fun. This is part of allowing you to fully connect, to fully translate, to fully step into your gifts and your power. We thank you for your co-creation in this way. My clothing, in ways, is, as I said, a bit more what could be looked at as from a fairy tale genre, you might say, than sci-fi. As I am choosing to present myself in this way, in this now, in the current shape that I am shifting into. a bit more what you may define again as being silhouettes from your Earth history. Maybe Edwardian era, we can say. Also some silhouettes from the 1880s as well. In that way, I'm also pulling from a bit of your pop culture in different ways. I am interested, we are all interested in many different ways. The character of the Doctor from your show, The Doctor Who. I am particularly excited for the next incarnation of the 13th Doctor being a woman. I, in my own way, have my own version of the trench coat, you might say, but it is a much more feminine silhouette, a tight waist and longer ankle length skirt. All of my clothes in that way are a bit feminine, you might say. I am enjoying exploring more so with the feminine polarization of creation and like my costumes to follow suit. I enjoy more blacks and greys, slate greys in this way, sometimes with a bit of an accent of a light pink. But also I am of the rainbow and enjoy many, many different colours in this way around me. But on the body, I enjoy to blend into the shadows a bit more. I am also being shown that you may find it interesting to tune into a bit of my ship. I am of the Yahyel race. I have my own ship. I am the captain of my own ship. This ship I have shared, I am calling Karen. Karen, car, in, the care, in the air, in the Karen. She is an aspect of my oversoul. We are connected to be able to create different expressions for her physicality based on our needs of the Yahyel, based on the needs of the children as well, the Shalalaya from time to time, and also based on the collective imagination, the collective story, the collective consensus reality of your civilization. We can shift the Karen into different forms in that way that is most relevant for your civilization's interpretation. The Karen is currently stationed above Maui in a slightly alternate density, more so in the density that the Yahyel civilization resides in its entirety. I am from what you would understand as about 20 to 25 years in your timeline in this current transmission that I am relaying to you. You understand we are able to jump up and down our timeline, but in this way I am more so in what you would understand as your present. I feel this is more than sufficient for you and I to dance more in this co-creation. I thank you for your excitement, for your continuing service in this way. I am also very connected to the serious energy and enjoy ringing my bells, singing songs in different ways from their ancient language. I will share a bit with you now. We thank you for your creations, for your collaborations. I am excited to continue to connect with you in a varieties of shape-shifting, slightly trickstery types of ways. I send my unconditional love to you, and to you, good day.
Vashta's back. So, wow. I have to say, I did not see this coming. But I did ask for it, and that's how these things work. So, a few days before this, I asked for a shifter intervention. What is a shifter intervention, Vashta? One might ask. Why, thank you for that question, I will tell you. Being connected to a future self who is a shapeshifter and a trickster herself, I am well familiar with that energy. You have probably already heard the video I have on this channel with Isolde. If not, that's where you should start. So, not to repeat myself, I will continue assuming you heard it. Simply put, I ask for their energy when I feel stuck. It does not have to be some dreary situation or painting myself into a corner with no way out, but this has happened before too. It can also be, for example, getting into a role like shifters do, and like I do. In order to experience certain things I want to be more familiarized with, or in order to mirror a certain energy or archetype to somebody who asks for it on a higher level. But this is not acting, please make no mistake. Unless maybe you want to call it method acting, I don't know. This is about embodying it fully, otherwise it won't produce the effects or experiences that are called for. So the trick is, I have to forget that I'm playing. I do this intentionally because you just gotta be all in. As a shifter, I mean. So what happens sometimes, usually, when I do that, I need a hand to get out. A reminder that it's just a role, that our lives are just role-playing in a broader sense, and that life is a stage. But not just any reminder, something that will shove me out of my reality completely, and only tricksters know how to do that. I haven't met anyone else who can. So, by now, I knew my role was over, and it was time to call for the big guns. Dun dun dun! I also did a card reading for myself, which I hardly ever do. I only do it for others, I just never think of it to do it for myself. Using Galactic Heritage cards, excuse me, by Lisa Royal Holt. I highly recommend checking it out if you haven't already. And the cards I got were 2 Zeta Reticuli ones, Embracing Family and Returning the Favor, and 1 Pleiadian one, Open Contact. I honestly had no idea how to interpret that, but I had a feeling something will come along and that would explain it. And then Bella the Hybrid came along 2 days after that. So as soon as she started speaking, I felt a direct connection, and I was literally buzzing, like all my circuits lit up. And the way she was pausing to let me absorb the shock from downloads and hearing this information and connecting all the dots in my mind, remembering the cards and what they ended up meaning for me, etc., etc., and the whole idea of Doctor Who related to my idea of how shifters are connected to that archetype, which I had for years now, was confirmed through Bella. As she was talking, I also saw what I think was her ship, which was kind of malleable and bigger on the inside like TARDIS, but kind of camouflaged from the outside, looking like a reflective soap bubble that kind of makes it look invisible. And I also had some downloads about the nature of their ships and how they're created from the outer layers of the auric field. But I cannot verbalize that yet, as it has not structured itself properly in my head yet. Excuse me. Then the way she described herself was very relevant to me, because I also have Asian blood in me, which is not obvious. But if you know that, you can kind of see it. Oh, and what that song did to me in the end, I also cannot word yet, but it definitely hit a chord in my own field. So back to my shifter intervention story. I immediately saw what she looked like and knew what to do. So I finished the portrait literally that night. And then I spent 2 days integrating and feeling it out if there's anything I should change or add, but I received no further instructions, at least about the image. The shifter moment happened as I finished and sent the portrait to Gita. I stayed up all night, as I do, and at dawn I saw something flying around my balcony through the window. At first I thought it was a huge bug, so I freaked out because it looked black and fluttery. So I didn't go out to check, but I remained sitting at my desk, which has a direct view to the balcony, to the balcony window or the door. And then I saw it again, and it was zooming in front of the window. So I had to come closer to check it out because what the fuck? And the light wasn't that good, and the sun was just about to come out. And what I saw, I still find hard to believe. A tiny blackish hummingbird was drinking nectar from the flowers on the balcony. And no, it wasn't an insect. I clearly saw the long straight beak and the big black eye on the side of its head. So it flew around the flowers a bit, and I went back to sit, still unsure what happened. Because we don't have hummingbirds in Serbia, you know? Not even at the zoo. And I waited a bit in shock and was wondering if it was a shifter visiting me. And at that point, as I had that thought, the little thing bumped against the window trying to come in. So again, I had the opportunity to see it well. And then it flew towards another balcony, and I had the chance to come out and watch. So I did. And I saw it drinking nectar from the flowers again, and then it was dancing in the air and twirling between two buildings and then going to another balcony, and then it disappeared out of sight. It really was as if it was showing off to me. And I was pretty much the only person awake at 5 in the morning or so. And then I started laughing and laughing and laughing. I knew it was a visitation. Well, I was actually both laughing and crying, to be honest. And I recognized the shifter intervention. My whole reality warped, and I was squeezed out of it like a pellet from a gun, like sliding out of my skin like a well moisturized snake on steroids. But that's not all. 2 days after that, I was still integrating all these experiences, and my new t-shirt that I ordered from the States finally got here after like over 3 weeks of waiting. It's a very tricksterish shirt on its own, but of course, that's not it. The tag on it says Bella. I kid you not. Just in case I didn't believe the first message, making sure I'm paying attention and that my ego mind is not sweeping it under the carpet as a pile of coincidences to sit on. So that's my story. Have you guys seen Deadpool 2? Spoilers incoming. Remember that scene when Colossus is fighting the Juggernaut for ages and two mutant girls land and help him win? By tying up his legs with an electric whip, shoving a power cable up his butt, and pushing him into the pool with an energy ball. Well, yes, that happened to my ego/role. And this is a perfect time to finish the story and leave you all wondering what the fuck was I on about. Shifter intervention. Bye-bye. Dun 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 dun. Ooh.